to ask you one thing. How many of you are animal lovers? Oh, good. So have you kept pets at your home, or means how? How you realize that you are animal lovers? Everybody has raised the hands, na? So how you have realized that you are animal lovers? Okay, no issue. So recently we are still recovering from corona. Almost we have recovered. So you have heard that all the corona vaccines and other medications, they are either developed with the help of animals or animal models have been used before their actual testing on human beings. Are you aware about this thing? Everybody, it will be an interactive lecture. Okay, so I can ask anything from anybody. Okay, so don't sleep. Okay, I will click on your desk and I can ask anything. Okay, so for preclinical testing, we have a in vitro thing. So first you have to test the efficacy of your drug or your vaccine in lab. In vitro means outside the body. In vivo means inside the body. Okay, so first you have to test your drug outside the body, in vitro, in test tube or in your laboratory, and see the efficacy, whether it is giving promising results or not. So if it is giving promising results, in that case you can start your animal experimentation. Okay, so then for starting animal experimentation, you have to follow certain guidelines. What are those guidelines? CPCSCA guidelines. What are those? CPCSEA. What does that mean? Committee for the purpose of control and supervision of experiments on animals. It's very hectic. Okay. So committee for the purpose of control and supervision of experiments on animals. So this why there is such committee? Anybody has any idea why there is such committee? So initially we have been using so many number of animals without any procedural requirement, without any guidelines. We are wasting too much animals. So there has been a long felt demand to prescribe guidelines and procedures related to animal experimentation. Okay, so then this committee came into existence. Also, there is a PCA Act. Have you heard about this? Prevention of Cruelty to Animal. Okay, so in India, this PCA Act came into existence in 1960. You will be surprised. This type of act means India is one of the pioneering country to institute this PCA Act. Even in France, it has been instituted in 1963, in USA in 1966. But you know, we are Indians, so whatever we plan, we start following that particular thing after so many years. Okay, so for India also, for Indian scenario, we have formulated this act in 1960, but actually we have starting following these guidelines. I am particularly talking about CPCC things. So we have started developing and following these guidelines in 1998. Before that, there was no such guidelines. And this PCA Act has given the idea to constitute this committee for the purpose of control and supervision of experiment on animals. Okay, so am I clear? Okay, so it This committee comes under Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Okay, so it has means there is Animal Welfare Division. So Animal Welfare Board of India and National Institute of Animal Welfare and CPCC, they all comes under Animal Welfare Division. So CPCC has constituted under Chapter 4, Section 15(1) of PCA Act. Committee for the purpose of control and supervision of experiment on the animals is the apex body in India, which governs all the animal experimentation in India. So this is a duty-bound committee to ensure that all animals which are undergoing research, they should not be subjected to unnecessary pain and suffering before, during, and after the performance of experimentation. Okay, so for that purpose, they have given some breeding of and experiment on animals rule, which in 1998 modified in 2001 and 2006 and then in 2018. Okay, so now CPCC has also given guidelines for experimentation on birds as well as for fish. Okay, earlier it was concerned with small laboratory animals. So each animal house is registered with CPCC. The person or the institutes who are planning to experiment on animals, they are registered with CPCC. Registered CPCC institute must have an institutional animal ethics committee, IAEC. So IAEC is approval is mandatory for conducting the animal experiments. For example, if you are planning to do some animal experimentation, there is a form B, called as form B. So you have to fill that particular form and you have to submit it to your ethics committee. Okay, so ethics committee consists of 8 or 9 members, and there are different members from your organization as well as from outside organization. So they discuss that particular protocol. They can ask you questions about the outcome of the experiments, about the humane endpoints, about the euthanasia things, everything about your experimental procedure, and then they can allow your experiment, or they can reject also your protocol. Then all animals need to be maintained as per the CPCC guidelines. So CPCC has provided certain specifications, okay, for the maintenance of the animal. So you have to follow that particular guidelines. Import or export of animals need license and NOC from CPCC. So this is national compendium. So this is compendium for CPCC. And this is international guideline. International guidelines are guide for the care and use of laboratory. On the main functions of CPCC. So the main functions of CPCC includes registration of establishments conducting animal experimentation or breeding of animal for this purpose. Selection and so as I have told you, so each institute have a IAC, and there are 5 members from inside of the institute, and 3 or 4 members, they are nominated by CPCC. Because all the committee members are from your institute, your college, they for means your benefit, they can allow anything. But if somebody comes from outside, in that case, he or she can ask you many things, and he can easily raise question about the validity of your experiments or outcome of your experiments. So these nominees are nominated by CPCC, Government of India. Okay. Approval of animal house facilities on the basis of reports of inspection conducted by CPCSC. So CPCSC has mandated that every animal facility must undergo a annual inspection, and that particular inspection report should be submitted by main nominee to the CPCSCA, and depending upon the outcome of that report, CPCSCA can continue a registration of. For that purpose, you require a no objection certificate stating that this particular animal is not available anywhere in India. So I want to import this. So in that case, CPCC gives no objection certificate. Then coming on the then why there is need of such guidelines? Why CPCC guidelines came into existence? So you can undertake research only after due consideration. Not like you are doing some animal experimentation to for learning purpose or for teaching purpose. So this is not allowed. Okay. So if you are doing research for similar experiments, okay, as you are doing, so you can combine your things and you can publish. Okay, there should be no repetition. Okay. Then animal lowest on the phylogenetic scale with the least degree of sentience. What does sentience means? Phylogenesis. What does that mean? First start with sentience. What is sentience? Experience subjectivity. Got my point? So, which animals are which animals have the least degree of sentience? So there is a ascending order of sentience. We start from invertebrates. For animal experimentation, I'm talking. We start with invertebrates, then birds, then rodents, then canines, felines, then bovines, equines, and then non-human primates, and then other higher primates like. Then coming on the alternative not involving animal testing should be given due and full consideration. So in your UG program, I think you are using alternatives, sir? They are using alternatives.
Yes.
Which type of simulated experiments? Okay. So initially when this debate has been started, so many of the universities and colleges, they have told that animal experiments, they are less expensive, and for simulated experiments you have to invest more. So there is a clause that means you can gradually replace those experiments. It's not like in one day you have to replace everything. So gradually people have started replacing animal experimentation, at least in undergraduate level, okay, to avoid unnecessary use of animals. Or we can experiment should be designed with minimum number of animals to give scientifically, statistically valid results. So how will you decide minimum number? What will you do? Have you studied biostatistics in your UG? No? Biostatistics. No? Okay. So, I mean to say, for each experiment, like for toxicity studies, there is a set guidelines that you have to use 3 animals. Okay. For other type of studies, there are set of guidelines that you have to use 5 animals or 6 animals or 8 animals, depending upon the type of study. Okay. Depending upon the severity of experiments also. But usually people say ki you have to use minimum number. But I always debate that after using less number of animals and you have not got any statistically significant results, in that case this is a total wastage. So instead you use more number of animals to get statistically valid results. The total failure means total wastage of animals. So instead you can use more number of animals. So that is a statistically valid results you should get. Minimizing the suffering of animals and provide quality environment and quality life to animals. So how will you do that? By giving good quality food, good quality water, good quality bedding. If you have pet at your home, what you do? You feed them with pedigree. Okay. Or some other pelleted food. Or sometimes you give them good quality bed, we can say. That is all about the minimizing the suffering of animals. Okay. And also, if the animal feels pain, if you are the change in behavior, you can provide them with analgesics or some other drugs so that they start behaving normally. Okay. So that also comes under refinement thing. Okay. Or minimizing the suffering. Then comes researchers should use and handle the experimental animals with kindness, care and concerns and cause minimum discomfort, distress or pain. Okay. So this is the most important point. Most of time we lift the mice with tail. Sir? Tail. So there was a article in Nature that even the handling of animal or mice with one institute, so NC3R, National Center for Refinement, Replacement and Reduction of Animal Experimentation in UK. So they have invented new ideas about animal handling and restraining. So they don't pick the animal by tail. They just put their palm inside the cage, and when the animal comes, then they close. Or if you are afraid of the animal, or in that case, you can use some pipe, plastic pipe. Just put inside that pipe, animal inside that pipe, and you can then grab them or restrain the animals. No. So see, if you are daily manipulating or daily touching the animal, so they will start loving you. Usually what we do, we just offer them with chocos or some other chocolate crumbs. Okay, so they start developing a good relation with you. They will not bite. I can assure about rats. the reason for that is human beings can adjust their life anywhere, anytime. But those are laboratory animals. Their survival depends on us. Whatever we will give, they will reciprocate that thing. Okay. So if you are giving them with good food, good bedding, good environment, they will give you good research results. Okay. So this is also the most important thing. All scientific procedures that may cause more than momentary pain, they must be carried out under appropriate sedation or anesthesia, and you have to give preemptive analgesia to that animal. Sometimes, sir, this is a common debate. So people say, if you are taking blood from animal, you have to anesthetize the animal. So, you have to anesthetize the animal. The reason for that means if the animal will move now, then you will puncture into the eye. Okay, for that purpose. Otherwise, if you are removing blood from tail or from other area into the animal, then there is no requirement of anesthesia. Researchers ensure that anesthesia lasts. So there are different categories of anesthetics available, like gelazine, ketamine, diazepam, pentobarbital, isoflurane, gaseous anesthesia. Nowadays, people. Of animal is required. Okay, it should not feel pain. If the experiment has to be abandoned at some stage and irreparable injury has been inflicted on the animal, then the animal should be sacrificed. Okay, so this also comes under humane endpoints. So if you are doing some spinal cord lesion, or if you are doing of them. Okay, so euthanasia also requires one full lecture for discussing about euthanasia of animals. In humans, euthanasia is then these are the CPCC guidelines, which covers ethics in animal experimentation, animal procurement, personal hygiene, animal experimentation, experimental area, physical restraint. Bit about laboratory animal ethics. So what is ethics? What is animal ethics? What is ethics? You usually say, no, you have to follow ethical. Animal, what is good for human beings? What is bad for animal? What is bad for human beings? Okay, that is decided with the help of ethics. So for laboratory animal experimentation, we always says all scientists working with laboratory animals. So all scientists means your guide, you, technicians, animal attendant, everybody comes under this. They must follow ethical considerations. Okay, for the animal they are dealing with. it is important that such ethical considerations are taken care at the individual level, at institutional level, and finally at the national level. Individual level, who is individual? Researchers are the individual. Institutional level, who is at the institutional level? IAC committee, Institutional Animal Ethics Committee. And national level is CPCC, that is statutory, apex board. If that particular animal is not available in any of the registered establishments, then in that case you can ask the ministry that this is not available, and we have to either trap it from wildlife, or we have to take from hygiene. As you are aware, the proper PP. I am skipping these slides because we have to concentrate more on animal husbandry and other things. So personal hygiene, you have to properly wear PPE kit, okay, every time. So that is the reason, sir, in animal facility we used to have mask every time. So in corona time at our place there are less infections. Regular practice that all the experiments must be carried out at a separate place. It's not like कि जिस room में animal है उसी में आप experiment कर रहे हैं या euthanasia कर रहे हैं. Other animals will come in stress. Physical restraining is not usually permitted until unless it is required. Then coming environment. So animals have two types of environment, macro environment and micro environment. So macro means environment of, micro means environment of cage. Okay, so you have to take care about both these environments. First we start with as you can see, this range is very high, very big, I can say. Means if the temperature is 18 in morning and 29 in afternoon and again goes 18 in evening, then what will happen? Animal will become stressed. That means you have to maintain at a constant temperature of, means either it is 25 plus minus. Sudden fluctuation in the temperature as well as humidity. As you can see, humidity is also, they have big range, 30 to 70%. Why there is so much big range? This is only for Indian subcontinent. Because in India we have coastal regions, we have places where snowfall is there, we have places like UP and Haryana where means extreme hot conditions comes in the summertime. So for that reason they have given a range, so that area wise you can, as per your convenience, you can maintain that particular temperature and humidity. Then coming on the ventilation, 12 to 15 fresh air cycles per hour. Okay, so means 15. These things can only be maintained through HVAC system. Normal air condition cannot maintain this thing. HVAC system, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. When you are away from light, the light intensity is less. When you are near a light source, then it will be high. So guideline says that you have to put your lux meter 1 meter above the floor level. Okay, so that reading will give you light intensity of